Nice to see you. Mr. Trautheim-Hofmann is an expert for norming organization PROSTEP. You can see the logo on the right side. And Ms. Hentschel is a project management expert in the field, a first-level tier project manager. So we have very knowledgeable people here telling us about the digital transformation of schedule management and synchronization. So the stage is yours. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I hope you can hear me. It's okay? Well, fine. Yeah, this PROSTEP IVIP Association has a huge technical program, and Kirsten and I would like to present you one result of such a project group and this association with about 200 members of industrial partners and system vendors and institutes and universities are working on such technical program. And one of the challenges is how to manage scheduling tasks and project management tasks across the all organizations and systems, for example, in the automotive industry, as we already heard today here, or also in other branches. So we developed with this project group a solution and how to synchronize project schedule management information across the organizational units, as well as with different methods, as well as different systems. And by that way, and by these solutions we'd like to present, we will solve a lot of different challenges in the project schedule management. For example, at ZF, also a huge supplier, it solves this management and handling of the different and individual requirements from their customers as well as their own suppliers in the entire supply chain by using this PSMS application. It simplifies dramatically their situation because they have one solution to solve all these different requirements in their chain. Kirsten will be later on also may say something to the regular requirements and the compliance, for example, to the automotive SPICE requirements, and it helps also to solve and to safeguard these requirements in this synchronized process. In general, there may be also, or these requirements and recommendations out of this project group may also help to improve the internal processes. It was a statement from Porsche, for example, in between the different branches as Audi or VW as well as Porsche itself. And traceability and between the project management domains as well as the product lifecycle management in the product development processes and the product structures and so on is also a very important topic here, this integration of these worlds in this huge network of components, software, electronics, and so on, as we already heard in that morning today. And from my perspective also, it's very important to integrate the complete different approaches with respect to the methods, with respect to the systems, the processes, and all the individual requirements coming up in all that individual partners in a huge network in such a collaborative project. This project group, project schedule management, addresses and develop an architectural approach and more than 200 recommendations, or let's call it rules, how to synchronize schedule information in a huge partner network, in a collaboration. Independent if there are a lot of different domains or projects or companies are involved in, and different methods which are required. And the schedule management itself is only one discipline, and we need also the integration of further ones. And so I would like to hand over to Kirsten.
Okay, so hello to everybody. I hope you can hear me. So as we have seen in the presentations before, one of our main goals regarding this collaboration network is the project schedule management. But when you have a deeper look in this project management domain, you will see that we will have a lot of links to other domains like stakeholder management, cost management, quality management, and so on. And this is one of the topics that we want to focus, that we are able to have an integrated look on this project management discipline, that we will do collaborations based on schedule management, but linked to other project management disciplines like resource management, quality management, but we will be able to integrate with other disciplines out of or outside project management, like supply chain management, like change requirement management, and requirements management, as well as PLM systems, and so on. So we are planning to go stepwise to see collaboration from the basic, from our schedule, via integration management, and then go outside to other disciplines. So how does this work? You could say that yes, intuitive things are simple. The best thing is break this network down into manageable size packages. So Andreas, back to you.
Yeah, so one of the idea here is to figure out, or what the project figured out is that it is important to find out at which point in times, or which events or which tasks trigger the necessity of communicating schedule information and to synchronize schedule information between the different partners. And it's very important here to have, as you already had in some of the presentations before, to have a good knowledge about what is the context of it. And to define the context, we decided here also to use such a very high-level reference process in which all these dedicated tasks with respect to some scheduling can be located or can be assigned to. So for example, the beginning of the creation of the project structure, or defining some milestones in it within the initiation phase, then within the planning phase, creating the work breakdown structure, defining activities, plan the activities, and define project schedule results, for example, the labels, and so on and so on. All these tasks may relate to some trigger or require some trigger to communicate with the partners in the network scheduling information. During the execution phase, for example, we have these measurement of the maturity stages and to get feedback about finishing some tasks or solving the milestones requirements and so on. And the controlling, the monitoring, as well as at the end the closing of the project also will connect the connectivities to the other partners. And our challenge and the goal was here also to define a solution and a way which is completely independent and will work independently if the project is working according classic or agile or hybrid methods. And how does it work? We already adapted here the concepts from the engineering change management. This was a standard and a recommendation defined 10 years ago also by the Automotive Industry and the PROSTEP Association. And we adapt these concepts here to say, okay, at the end, in a bilateral communication of partners in a collaboration network, we are talking about the role of a coordinator and the role of a participant or many participants. Because in such a process-oriented communication, someone should have a little bit a more leading role, and this is a coordinator. He triggers the process, and maybe he will solve also some conflicts if coming up. Within such a common reference process, which defines the context, the typical schedule management, synchronization use cases and scenario may occur. And it is required that the responsibilities and agile business requirements should be in time addressed here via such communications. And this will be done by dedicated schedule management synchronization messages. There are only 3 different types. Some information you would like to get to your partner, it's a notify message. Or if you requires a response, then you will send a request message. And this structure can be also divided into different synchronization levels. So maybe you have only a few information to be synchronized, and we can call it like a simple or a more explicit way for a medium or large size of that communication. At the end, we only have a few set of messages, and the most important thing is what is the content of such a synchronization message. And this is specified also within our specification, and it is based on another international standard, the STEP AP242. So all that is described within the PSMS recommendation with the number PSI 25, and it is a model-based specification. So how it works? There may be different scenarios can be built up with the messages on the set of messages. You will have a huge and a flexible range of uni or bidirectional communication, representatively synchronization scenarios which are possible via the combination of the same basic message types. For example, the project manager from one company, the OEM for example, or first year will be start the project with a partner and will involve a partner into the project by sending such a notify project information. And you get back a confirmation message from the partner. And one of the next steps in the planning, there will be an iteration of building up, defining the project with all that required details, the milestones, the single activities, activity groups or something like that, including related labels and so on and so on. It may be an iterative step to synchronize the different use on the same common project, but in their different roles. That means that the project, as we saw already with the C-Place example, some presentations before, you have different views on the same project and they are not equal, but they have to synchronize to each other. And it could be also done in a so-called incremental way. That means a delta will be only transmitted or an update mechanism. Within the execution phase, you will get with some synchronization messages the information about the status of some activities or work packages, as well as feedback to that. And within the control phase, you may have a lot of messages which may come up with issues which have to be solved, for example, delays in some deliverables or changes in some activities or responsibilities of the task, and so on. And this will be also a communication as we as humans will do if you talk to each other. And at the end, for instance, you will also close the project and will save for the traceability all the information. It's like the same as you already had here with an update function within the planning phase or within all the other phases. So that you also have all the synchronization messages archived and retended, for example, for traceability stuff. So that will be the situation between two partners, but what about a huge network? For example, in the automotive industry, in some car project, we are talking about 700 partners in it, or something like that. How does it work? Yeah, quite simple. Because this approach, how to communicate between these partners and how to synchronize two different schedules to each other, will be work in such a network by such a cascading as we already adapted from the engineering change management approach. So a coordinator, for instance, in OEM, will cascade their project year planning to a participant 1 and 2, for example, a tier 1 or tier 2 supplier, via these synchronization messages. And these suppliers by themselves will have the role of a coordinator with respect to their own supply chain and will use the same messages and approaches, however with different content, to their own supply chain. And these roles may also change. For instance, you know, there are in the automotive industry the so-called 0.5 suppliers like Magna Steyr, for instance. Yeah, then these tier 5 will have the coordinator role in such a communication with their OEM and also with their suppliers. And this network is not only a network like a tree, it is a network as a network. So for instance, with this participant, we called it here number 2, it may happen that he has in the same project 2 ways of the communication and synchronization of project, the one coming from the OEM and another chain here came via the coordinator, the tier above here and participant 2. And in that network, all these communication messages and the synchronization have to lead into a consistent project management and scheduling. So, and this will be safeguarded by our approach here. So, at the end, all these network will be simplified in PSM synchronization messages, which are standardized and applicable very easily. And the only thing is that sometimes it may be changes the roles in it. For example, someone should have in such a bilateral synchronization a little bit more leading role, because we are talking about process synchronization at the end. Kirsten.
Maybe you have noticed that what we are talking here and what we have done in this project group, in this PROSTEP project group, project schedule management, is very similar to what we have done in this high-value project. And that's the reason why I'm in this high-value project as well. So I started with this PROSTEP, project schedule management, and we had a former recommendation for project schedule management. What should be, what should tools be able to do when you want to do a schedule management? So we have more or less a technical approach in this PROSTEP environment. And we say, okay, this is similar, this is something which is important to know for high value, but in this high value project, we want also to have a look at this work organizational implementation. And so we have this interface, this working together with these two project groups, and we can live from each other. That we from PROSTEP will give the basis, especially when implementing this C-Place platform. We had also detected that it's absolutely necessary to have this common language, that you have a common understanding about the product life cycle and product development process. And yes, but we also need to think about the human aspects, what does this mean for work organization and so on. So yes, both parties considered the results of the other parties. And even when the high value project is more or less completed, this PROSTEP will go on. So this is more or less a running project where we, as I said before, not stop at this schedule management and only schedule data which need to be collaborated on, but also later on resources, risks, and as well as I said before, change management, requirement management, data, and so on. So, as we have seen before, the idea is to work in a big network with different OEMs and different suppliers. But we also have noticed that the same concept, the same idea can also be used internally. For example, really in one company where you have different functions, or if you have working on a platform like a VW, for example, when you have this Porsche, Audi, and VW project, so you are in one group but with different companies in, or also external. And so regardless in what kind of organization you are working, and even regardless what PM method you use, if you're working in agile, in a hybrid approach, or classical, we are yes, independent. Which dependent you use, this approach can be used for all of this. Also, regardless if the contents you want to exchange is on a rough basis or on a very detailed basis, our recommendation that okay, you can use this. We are not really focusing on a specific method for content, and this is also different to the HyValue-Projekt. So within HyValue, we build up this prototype together with C-Place and MS Project. This data model we have defined in the PROSTEP project group is a data model which is independent of the PM system. So you are able to exchange between different PM systems, between different applications, because we not only want to focus on project management disciplines, also try to integrate different disciplines, and as well, we are not saying, okay, it's an exchange of data via files. We also support clouds and promises or mixed technologies, and of course in different kind of combinations.
Yeah, this was one of our highest sophisticated objectives here, to find a solution and an approach which is completely independent of which method in details or which system constellation in detail will work at each of that partner, because there is also a very huge dynamic in it, and we would like to create here solutions which will save your investments and will be stable over years. And I'm talking about more than 2 or 3 years, maybe also 10 or 20 years. So the recommendations we worked out here from this project group will solve and gives you benefit at a lot of different levels. So with your handouts, you will get also here the link to that first version of this recommendation, which actually addresses all the major and core information of a project, as well as the involvement of the partners plus their milestones. Actually, we are working on the version 2, which came out end of this year, with the extension of for the use cases, as well as the messages to synchronize complete activity and work package structures within a project, plus the references and the integration in the other domains, for example, the PLM domain, to reference the input and the output information of each of these tasks and work packages, because they, from their other point of view or side of the systems and the processes, will address also schedule information. Because these schedule information are objectives and are parameters, for example, within a product structure, or a dedicated product component, or a piece of software, in some electronic module or something like that. And last but not least, end of next year latest, we would like to address the management of multi-project management structures in that. However, you are already invited also, and you are also able to contribute here and to grab also the benefits out of such a project firsthand. You may also be able and invited to participate here actively. So, such a very short introduction of such a complex topic from Kirsten and myself, and yeah, thanks a lot. And if you have any questions, you can ask them now or contact us later on. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation. And as we already started with our open discussion, if you have any questions regarding this presentation or one before and or the project as a whole, please feel free. We would like to have a short discussion. Yes, please.
Thank you very much. Dankeschön. You've now done this in this particular field, this sector, automotive, Germany. Have you done any other industry sectors at any other places of the world? So how far has the tool been disseminated or in use?
So far in our project HyValue, we have only the partners in the German context, but PROSTEP, I think, is more international. Please.
PROSTEP is more international. We have more than 200 partners in it from different branches, the aerospace industry, the automotive industry, manufacturing, all that manufacturers of mechatronical products, if you want to say so. And we also addressed here that our recommendations will not only work within the automotive industry, it will work really in all that industries and branches would have to work in a network for project management and scheduling. With related, or usually with related to some products and components. It's independent of the branch at the end.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any more questions? So, it doesn't seem like it, as we are already a little bit over schedule.